Hello and welcome to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection since 1991. Today is Wednesday, November 8th of 2017. I am Pete Connor, your show's host, and a very informative show for both segments today. We're going to have Kali Shae first up from the Crisis Resource Center, and we'll talk about that work and those things that happened down there, and then we'll move to Barb Nowak and Joyce Hansel from the Women's Club of Owatonna to talk about their upcoming event. We'd like to welcome back a couple of sponsors. We have Advocates for Developmental Disabilities and Anytime Fitness joining the crew, a sponsorship crew, and we say welcome back. We're glad to have you. As a reminder, we do appreciate your input about what you'd like to see on Owatonna Today, those people and those events that need some publicity. If you have notes or ideas, why don't you let us know about that by sending an email to owatonnatoday@charter.net or by calling the show's producer, Leanne T at 390-5751. And now we're going to take a quick break for some messages from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Kali, so please stay with us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beth Giltvet.
And I'm Dr. Nick Vincelli of Horizon Eye Care.
We want you to see what you love and love how you see. We're proud sponsors of the Owatonna Today Show.
Kick off your holiday season with Advocates for Developmental Disabilities 27th Annual Festival of Trees, Friday, November 17th at 7:30 p.m. at the Owatonna Holiday Inn. The gala is a festive evening of sparkling trees, holiday entertainment, silent auction, delectable hors d'oeuvres and desserts, and specially decorated fresh wreaths. Tickets are available at Cashwise, Hy-Vee, Kotke's, or by calling 451-9769. Put some merry in your holidays by attending AD's opening night event, Friday, November 17th. Hope to see you there.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection, and a hearty welcome to Kali Shae. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Crisis Resource Center. But first, a hometown person. You're a homer.
Yes.
We came to know that earlier.
Yep.
Yeah. So high school OHS?
Yep.
And then from there to?
I went to Mankato State,
Okay.
Graduated with a social work degree.
Very well. And since then, you've been associated with?
With the Crisis Resource Center.
Okay,
Yep.
Good. We're going to talk about what that means, for you as a social worker, licensed social worker, to be involved in this work. But give us just a bit of a headline about the Crisis Resource Center in terms of what it does.
Sure. So the Crisis Resource Center works with people who are experiencing domestic violence, child abuse, or sexual assault. Really, we're just there to be an advocate for anybody who comes through our doors and support them in any way that we can. So we work with safety plans and things like that for people, help them through court processes, writing orders for protection, just really trying to support them in any way that we can.
And this is gender neutral, is it?
Yep,
Work,
yep. So we serve men and women, and then children as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Caseload, every day something.
It really varies from day to day. You can never really plan out your day. Sometimes you see one person, sometimes you hear from 15 to 20 people, kind of depending on the day.
Yeah.
So.
In your role are you advocate? Is that your title?
Yep.
Does it mean that are you office based, or do you sometimes have to jump in the car and drive places and talk to people?
So typically I'm in the office, but a lot of we respond to domestic violence situations as well as like the hospital. I've gone to the Steele County Attorney's Office, pretty much anywhere. If there's somebody that's experiencing domestic violence or sexual assault and they're in a safe environment, we can respond to that environment too. So.
Okay. And if they're not in a safe environment, need to be in a safe environment, how is it that you work with, facilities to provide that to a client?
I would say our first step if they're not in a safe environment would be to call 911. get the police involved, and then move them to a safe environment. And once they're in that safe environment, we can go there and kind of work with them on, okay, what are the next steps of keeping you in a safe environment? What does that mean? What are your supports like? What other resources are available? What are you needing right now?
You know, when you talk about going to the county attorney's office, how much of what you do ends up to be gets into the system, so to say?
It kind of varies, I guess. Some people, they would never have experiences with the county attorney's office. Other times there's a lot of criminal charges that victims just want to know about what's happening, but they don't necessarily want to go to court to see that. So we work pretty closely with the county attorney's office in just kind of bridging that gap for the victims.
There are other organizations in town, in the county, I know, that also provide not identical services, but they're in the pool, if you will. And sometimes mediation comes into play. How do you folks deal with that? In other words, maybe to help repair a relationship so that it can continue, you know, in better terms, obviously.
What do you mean when you say?
Well, in other words, if we got two people who are, you know, having a bad time of it, and there's abuse, you know, but it has not reached the level of being a court action or legal test. That something happens to bring those two folks into some therapy lines where they can ultimately come back as a family.
Yep. And we're there. We're not there to tell people what to do. So we're really there to provide resources. So if that's kind of the route that they want to take and they want to stay in that relationship and work on that relationship, we'll look at ways and refer out to different therapies or refer out to different other resources that are needed. And then kind of work on safety plans if that's needed too, just in case, so they have kind of a backup plan. But we're really there to provide a resource, so we'll refer to all those different places.
What are some of the more prevalent things that cause or enter into a relationship problem, a domestic violence or a domestic issue? What are some things that play into that heavily?
Yeah. So a lot of times I think domestic violence is thought of as like a physical assault. But we talk with victims a lot about isolation can be used. There's intimidation, there's emotional abuse, name calling, complete control is kind of what it feels like. And so the partner trying to figure out where the person is at all times and things like that. So there's a lot of different things that are involved with domestic violence. And a lot of people don't recognize that. So we work a lot with victims about, what tactics are they using that are included in domestic violence.
In athletics, we talk about game plan. So in your situation, folks are coming and they have to every day create a game plan as to what it is that they're going to try to do to stay clear of whatever it happens to be.
Yep. And that's kind of a little bit of the safety planning that we do. Just sometimes, victims can tell you a lot of their fears. They can tell you exactly what's going to happen. So planning out those fears and what can you do differently to keep you and your kids safe.
Yeah. At the front end, of a relationship, whether it be marriage or whether it be, cohabitation, are these things that just come after the fact, or are they sometimes known before entering in?
Sometimes there's kind of red flags, but a lot of it, like we talk with victims too about the cycle of abuse, and so there's like the honeymoon setup stage too, that these things aren't known, and then it kind of hits. So, sometimes there are the red flags, and sometimes there's not. Yeah.
How about substance abuse as a player into the alcohol and other chemicals?
And a lot of, we hear a lot of people that start the abuse when they're drinking. There's a lot of substance abuse. We don't really focus on how that ties into domestic violence specifically, but in my opinion, it does.
It does, yeah. You see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then there's maybe an outer ring that you need to deal with as well.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is true or not. It may be a generalization, but it is that sometimes people who are into a domestic abuse situation have lived one prior to, maybe their own, but maybe they're within their growing up family unit.
Yep. There's a pattern to it. And like you said, a lot of people who experience domestic violence grew up in houses where there was domestic violence, so that's their normal. And then, so we really work with people who get out of that situation on how to stay out of that situation and recognize some of those red flags in the beginning of the relationship if possible.
It's easy to talk about the problems. We always talk about, what's wrong, what's right. I mean, what are some of the success stories or the things that happen? And when you go home, you say, all right, we did a good thing here.
So we have had a lot of success, and it's pretty awesome to see people come back in and they're finding their own housing. Their kids are doing well in school again. They're finding transportation. They're working. And just super proud of that.
When someone graduates, let's say, using that term, and has changed the pattern.
Yep.
How involved do they stay with the organization to be assistants, if you will, for new people coming in? Is there any of that?
It's kind of depending on the person. Some people don't want to be involved at all with us anymore, and some people come back and they want to volunteer.
Okay.
We're always looking for volunteers, so that's really nice, but it kind of depends on the person and where they're at.
So confidentiality is really super important here, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, all of our services are completely confidential. So,
is there a group format that is used at all in terms of the conversation? Do you have people who come together to share similar experiences?
We do have women's group once a week, and then we also have children's group once a week. So that helps to bring people together and support each other.
Sure. We talk about the legal system, jurisprudence, and all of that. How much of that, of what you do and what you see down at the CRC, ultimately does end up at the county attorney's office?
I would say there's probably 50% that. So some of it it's handled on the civil side, but then the other part, there's a lot of criminal stuff too.
Okay, and I suppose as a person, as a caseworker, you have to be involved in that right through the process to to share what you know, what you've been involved with.
Yep.
So it isn't necessarily all happy, and stuff. You got to be.
But there's a lot of good things that come out of it.
Well, if we weren't there, if the place wasn't there, and it's been around for many years. So good. Well, the story needs to be told, ongoing, and thank you for helping us to learn more about what happens down at the CRC and being here to do that. And
thank
we'll
you.
hope to have you back, and best wishes as you go forward.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today. We're going to take a bit of time for sponsor messages, and then we'll be right back with Joyce and Barb. So please stay with us.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced by gas-fired appliances in your home. The state of Minnesota requires that you have a carbon monoxide alarm within 10 feet of sleeping areas in your home. We suggest you have a digital readout carbon monoxide alarm. That way we were able to check and see what the concentration amount was when the alarm went off. This has been a public safety tip from the Owatonna Fire Department.
Hi, I'm Betsy Linger from the Owatonna Foundation. Your generosity has made Owatonna a better place to live by benefiting our community, the arts, recreation, and education. Please consider a donation today. The Owatonna Foundation is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Owatonna Public Utilities, real people, real reliable, real progress. Making life a little easier day after day, taking pride in our community, listening to what you say, a voice you can talk to. We're growing with you
Hi, I'm Tim Anderson, the owner of Anytime Fitness, where we make getting healthy affordable and convenient. Anytime Fitness is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. And a big welcome to Barb and Joyce from Women's Club. Got to say that right.
Yes.
It's not Women's Club, it's Women's Club.
That's correct.
It's an interesting, and it's probably forever that way. Someone decided that, right?
Yes, 55 years ago.
Is it that long?
It's for every woman, and that's why they,
Yeah. Is that right? It could be anybody? Any woman
any woman.
at any time?
That's available Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock.
September through May.
That's meeting day, right? The bell rings.
Yes,
on
it
Thursdays.
does, and you don't want to miss because it's
Yeah.
always fun.
And
Yeah.
we meet at St. John's Church.
Yes, I'm a little familiar with it because as the chair of Hospitality House, we were the recipient last year of the event, which we want to talk about today.
That's right.
Right?
And so I got to go to pick up the honoraria, and I was amazed at the number of women in that room. Holy
Yes.
moly, it must have been 200.
Well, we're 170 members
Yeah, yeah.
strong, but then we have guests
Sure.
each month, and
Yeah. So
We're very
why'd you get involved?
well, all the time I was working, I would see these ads in the paper for these wonderful entertainment groups that were coming to town to St. John's. Yes.
St. John, yeah.
Okay. And I just wished that I could attend, but I was working, and so that was one of the first things I joined when I retired from teaching. So it was because of the entertainment, but then it's just developed into so many other things.
So you're a music person.
Yes, I
You
am.
like to play in
Yes.
bands and orchestras, and so that would be because it's a lot of music.
Right.
Yeah, so wonderful. Joyce, what about you?
Well, my husband and I moved to the Owatonna area back in 2000, and I decided to go to water aerobics, and back in the day, there was a pool at Federated, and this lady by the name of Norma Buxton was swimming with me, and I didn't know she was important at that time. I just moved here in 2000, and so women in their swimming suits were pretty all equal. And she invited me to join Women's Club, and at that time I was still working. So the Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock didn't work, but since I've retired, I did join.
Wonderful. And what a way to find out about it, through Norma.
Yes, she was our second president, actually.
Wow. That's something.
55 years.
55 years ago.
Yep.
Right.
Oh my, oh my.
Right.
And so the impact of Women's Club of Owatonna, is certainly felt, and again, in my own personal experience. What are some things beyond the event that we're going to talk about are you involved in? What are there any other things that you do besides getting together and having a little bit of lunch and music?
When I joined 3 years ago, I was approached and said, well, wouldn't you like to be part of the program committee? And of course, it's a good way to get to know the ladies better when you serve on a committee. And so I said, sure, yes. Well, that turned into a 3-year commitment. I should have been paying attention. But anyway, I'm going to just briefly say some of the programs since I'm on the program committee. In September, we had dueling pianos, and it was Johnny Bird and Marcus Cruz, fabulous musicians, as we like music. And then in October, it was more serious. We had Jennifer Sanisman, and she was talking about being an orphan in Korea. And I had a connection with Jennifer because I used to live in Wanamingo, and when she was adopted at the age of 9, she was adopted to friends of mine in Wanamingo, but to the same church. So I knew her as a little girl. Then in November, we had Toast to the Classics, and we had Brad Boyce from Chatfield, and he did a variety, singing different classical music, Barry Manilow, Dean Martin, Elvis Presley. Now, coming up in December, we're having the Grace Notes Trio. And again, we like music, and it'll be a holiday show of Christmas songs. In February, it'll be Deb Knudsen, and she's from Owatonna. And she's done many canoeing trips down the Mississippi. And so she's going to talk about traveling the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Then in March, we have Juliana Skluzacek. Thank you very much. She's coming in March, and she's the artistic director of the Merlin Players of Faribault, and she'll talk about being an actor as well as being a director of many plays. Then in April is Claudia Schmidt, and she's grown up singing, and she'll have various songs, folk, jazz, traditional ballads, all wonderful music. And then in May we have our spring luncheon, and we're going to have Miriam Duchess Harris, and she is a professor at Macalester College, and she wrote the book, Hidden Human Computers, the Black Women of NASA. It's about the black women who performed the mathematical calculations for John Glenn to fly to the moon, and also then the movie came out, Hidden Figures. So that'll be our finale then in May.
And you take off for the
Yes.
summertime. Yeah. That's good. Well, that's a full year.
So we try to have a variety of programs. We like music, but we, also have had many authors before. We want to have, educational pieces. So a nice variety.
Yeah, good. Barb, let's talk about the event.
The event, yes.
Yeah,
that's
the event.
The event. It is our charity event. It is a wonderful event. It's a night of fun and fellowship and lots of good food and music. And it is November 18th, and it is at the Eagles Club, and it is from 7 to 11. Tickets are $25 in advance. You can buy them at the door for $30, but you can buy them at Cock Keys or from any member.
Which be like your next door neighbor, maybe.
Right. Or as a gift. I know women who buy 8 tickets to give to their friends and then reserve a table and have a great time for the evening. It's a fun night, as you probably know. I think you've attended it. And it's a show by the orchestra or the musicians, and then hors d'oeuvres and dessert, and then dancing until 11. So it's just, and it's always beautifully decorated. This year it's Lori Osmondson, a local decorator, and she does a beautiful job. So that'll be a fun night. And Joyce can maybe tell us a little bit about the orchestra because she's familiar with them.
Todd Hale actually recommended to our committee that we would have Ray Sands Orchestra. And I was more than thrilled because I know Ray Sands. When I lived in Wanamingo, my youngest daughter and Ray Sands' oldest daughter were best friends since about first grade.
How about that?
And so the kids were back and forth, many times back and forth to our homes. And then Ray Sands' wife, Sue, used to play piano over at Michael's Restaurant in Rochester. In the lounge there. And so my little grade school daughter and their daughter, Christy, got to run around all over Michael's on a Saturday night. So I'm very, very excited that they will be our orchestra.
The big band song. It would not surprising that Todd would reference that.
Yeah, and they'll play from the 40s, 50s, and 60s music.
Good. Barb, who are the benefactors this year of the event?
All right, as you know, the charitable groups apply for the proceeds from this, and this year the 3 groups were chosen, and they are the Exchange Club of Owatonna, and they are going to use the money for curriculum materials. We also have Habitat for Humanity, and we normally think of them as just as the builders, but they are going to use their money for materials to get the youth involved, and it's called Brush with Kindness. And our final group is the Steele County Clothesline, which has been around for 50 years or more, and it was actually started by Women's Club of Owatonna. And so those are our 3 recipients. They'll each get an equal portion of it, and it'll be awarded to them at our December meeting.
Wonderful. So it's important that the attendance, lots of tickets are sold.
Exactly. It's our one and only fundraiser.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's a fun one. So
you're all about fun.
We are all about fun. We are all about fun.
It could be dangerous.
Helping out too. We're helping out here.
All right. St. John is never the same after a Thursday afternoon with you guys.
And talking about the charity event, could I just mention the people who have been on our committee working so hard?
Yes, please,
So Sandy Boss has been civic contributors. Connie Ruth, Betty Ahrens, and Joan Salmonson have been corporate sponsors getting people to contribute. Hildy Keller and Nancy Westphal are in charge of planning our food, our wonderful appetizers and dessert. Jan Tippett is doing publicity. Joni Mosier and Marlis Olson are doing tickets.
Cool.
So we thank them.
Very
That's
well.
our committee for the charity event.
We're about ready to turn this thing off.
Okay.
Again, the day.
It is November 18th from
18th.
7 to 11 at the Owatonna Eagles.
Eagles Club. Okay, so tickets again at Kotke's or with it from
Any
any
member.
Yeah,
Correct.
good. Well, best wishes.
Thank
I
you.
hope you have a great night and a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And hope it's successful to obviously the recipients of the program.
Right.
So thanks for being here
Thanks,
to share
Steve.
all of that with us. So I'm sure next year we'll do it again.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for
Sounds
being
good.
with us today as well. We're going to take some time for some sponsor messages. We'll be back, and so stay tuned.
At Triumph Graphics, we think beyond ink. That's why you should make us your source for creative concept, design, print, mail, and web. Check us out today at triumphgraphics.com.
Hi, my name is Dave Efforts with TPS Insurance. We're here to handle all your insurance needs. We are a very proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. Some community announcements for you today at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. The annual bazaar will be held on Saturday, November 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. There will be a brunch costing $7. Will be served from 10:30 to 12:30. Collection boxes for the 2017 Steele County Toys for Tots program are ready to be filled for the giving season. There are more than 80 collection boxes in Steele County at businesses, schools, and churches. Donations of new unwrapped toys are being accepted through Tuesday, December 12th. The application deadline for Steele County Toys for Tots registration is Wednesday, November 15th. And for more information about the Steele County Toys for Tots program, visit its website or Facebook page for updates. Steele County Historical Society is offering a self-guided cemetery tour called Operation Tombstone from 10 a.m. to dusk on Friday, November 10th, Saturday, November 11th, and Sunday, November 12th. This tour will highlight the lives of 20 Steele County men and women who served our country during the Great War. Maps are available for purchase at the Steele County History Center for $5 each. The 27th Annual Festival of Trees on Friday, November 17th, which is the opening night event, a benefit for advocates for developmental disabilities serving Steele County at the Owatonna Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites. A silent auction, cash bar, hors d'oeuvres. I never could say that. Desserts and buy it now. Beautifully decorated fresh wreaths this year with a wall of wine, beer, and liquor. Holiday entertainment, sparkling trees of all sizes. Let ADD light your season. Eliminate Homeless event sponsored by Transitional Housing of Steele County on November 21st of 2017, a 7 a.m. breakfast, or on the 21st of November, a noon luncheon at the Holiday Inn, Owatonna Holiday Inn. We'll hear more about the mission and how you can help Steele County Transitional Housing. Autism Spectrum Disorder Parent Support Group from also advocates for developmental disabilities of Steele County. Every fourth Tuesday, check the Facebook page for possible summer gatherings. That will take care of it for today. We're going to have on Friday Julie Anderson and Tammy Lynn Furch from Steele County Transitional Housing to be with us, as well as on location with Lori Running from Advocates for Developmental Disabilities. Thanks for being here today. It was great to have you. It was great to have our guests. We'll see you back here on Friday.